What if you could be a cybercrime superhero? In the UK, there's been a 1,000% increase in the number of attacks in just 18 months, and £4.6 billion was lost to hacking last year. So that's where you come in. There are over 12,800 job opportunities in digital technologies in Scotland, many of them in cybersecurity. It's well paid. The average cybersecurity salary in Scotland is £51,200. That's more than double the average salary. UK companies sell cybersecurity worldwide, and sales are growing by 15% a year. So a career in cybersecurity is your passport to success anywhere in the world. Find out more at digitalworld.net.
There are thousands of exciting cybersecurity jobs across Scotland. Entry-level salaries starting at £25k and averaging £51,200. Choose ethical hacking and run controlled cyber attacks. Investigate data breaches and help solve cybercrime. Or what about data security? Identify threats and test for weakness. There's so many exciting careers to choose from. Find yours. Visit digitalworld.net and become a digital human. Are you interested in a career in cybersecurity? Finding your path is much easier than you think. Learn at school in computing science or gain National Progression Awards. Choose from a range of cyber apprenticeships. Gain qualifications in cyber courses across Scotland. Or learn at entry level and gain experience. There are so many exciting options to choose from. Find your path. Visit digitalworld.net and become a digital human. Cybersecurity is one of the fastest growing industries in Scotland. You can earn an average of £51,200. Fight against cybercrime and work on exciting projects. Problem solve with teams and work on global brands. Good at thinking outside the box or analysing, or seeing things that others can't. Whatever you're good at. Put your skills to good use in a great career. Find your opportunity. Visit digitalworld.net and become a digital human.
Hello and welcome to Cyber Skills Live. My name's Daniel. I'm an engineer who's interested in all things tech and security. You're joining Craig and I for this very special Cyber Skills Live made in partnership with Historic Environment Scotland. Today, you're about to get a history lesson, but also you're going to learn cybersecurity skills in this interactive activity.
Yes, today you're joining us on the battlements of Stirling Castle. And we've got people joining us from all over today. Thank you for joining us. We've got groups from across Scotland, but also around the world. And you're going to have to work together to protect this iconic Scottish landmark. Our world is powered by digital technology, and we need more people who are able to protect it. Whether it's turning on the lights or exchanging messages, this all relies on keeping these things secure. So we need more people with these skills to help us protect it.
Almost half of all businesses in Scotland have identified a skills shortage in cybersecurity. So a career in cybersecurity would mean you play a key role in protecting our digital world.
We're also lucky to be joined today by Kirsten from Historic Environment Scotland. She's a learning officer and she'll be helping answer some of your questions today. Hello, Kirsten.
Hi everyone, my name's Kirsten and I'm a learning officer here at Stirling Castle. So what is cybersecurity to do with a castle like Stirling Castle? Well, in the past, the people that lived in the castle had to be protected, such as kings, queens and lords and ladies. And indeed, their possessions had to be protected too. Nowadays, we don't have to just think about the physical security of the castle. We actually have teams in Historic Environment Scotland who look after our computers and security systems. So later on, you're going to find out a bit more about what their job entails. Okay, back to Daniel and Craig.
Thanks, Kirsten. That's right. There are lots of different career options in the cybersecurity sector in Scotland. Now, technology skills are really important, they're really valuable, but it's definitely not just a career for techies. There's lots of other options too.
That's right, there's jobs in marketing, digital forensics, legal, project management as well. It really is a career option for everyone, and yeah, you could be working somewhere like this.
Today, you're going to get a flavour of what it's like to defend one of Scotland's biggest castles from a cyber attack. We're going to be working with Mary Gordon, and she's the network security architect here at Stirling Castle. And her big project at the moment is to defend and improve the security system that they've got at the castle. So as we work through the activity today, we're going to learn a bit about how castles were historically protected, but also how that relates to modern cybersecurity best practice.
The activity you're doing today is based on a real-life job role, that of a cybersecurity architect.
Oh, that's our cue. We better get to our stations. We need to go and defend Stirling Castle.
Stirling Castle, what a place to defend. What you need to do now is go to cyberskillslesson.com and follow the instructions. So click Defend Stirling Castle and click to start the activity. Craig, did you enjoy our visit to the castle?
Yeah, I did. It's a great place to explore and walk around, and we're lucky to have these fantastic places in Scotland, and we need to protect them. So the activity that you're going to be doing today will work in any modern web browser. So make sure you open up Google Chrome or Firefox or even Edge, and you're going to go to this address below is cyberskillslesson.com. Once you're there, you're going to follow the instructions on the screen. You'll see Defend Stirling Castle, and you're going to click on Start the Live Lesson. So you're going to be asked to choose your name and your group. Make sure you type in your first name and only your first name so we can give you a shout out today, and choose your school from the drop down list as well. And Daniel, I can see there's already loads of people taking part right now. So thank you everyone for coming along. We have people taking part from across the country as well. Daniel, I think we should give people a few shout outs to see what schools are joining at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I'll start. I can see, so when we shout out your name, make sure you give a nice loud cheer in your class so we can hear you from our digital headquarters. So let's say hello to Birchgrove Primary School. Hello, thanks for joining us today. They were with us earlier on today as well, Daniel. They're obviously fans of our activities. So hello Birchgrove, thanks for taking part. We also have Kibo Education and Care Centre. Hello, thank you for taking part. And Lochgelly High School, thanks for taking part.
I can see we've got people playing along from McLaren High School, so I guess fairly close-ish to Stirling. Hello to all of you. Moffat Academy, you're also joining. I can see you're signing in. Brilliant, thanks for being here.
A great big shout out to people taking part from North Lanarkshire Council. Thank you very much for taking part today. I think that might be a school in North Lanarkshire, but if it is the council, then thanks for joining us today as well. And also Prestwick Academy, thank you for taking part with us this afternoon as well.
And a couple more, St Paul's Roman Catholic Academy in Dundee, thanks for joining us. We've also got a couple of colleges and universities joining us today. Glasgow Clyde College, hello, welcome. And I think a couple of our schools are outside of Scotland as well. I know that Birchgrove definitely is, so hello to you in Wales.
we're allowed to form alliances. If we're going to be doing defending the realm, defending Stirling Castle, you've got to make friends in other countries as well, so people have got our back. So thank you very much for joining today. If you're an adult, you can tweet along with us today using the hashtag CyberSkillsLive, and you can tag us at Digital World HQ. We love to see what you and your class are doing as you work through the activity. And Daniel, what are we doing today?
Yeah, so we're going to be working with Mary Gordon, and Mary is the network security architect at Stirling Castle, and she's got a big project at the moment, and that project is to improve the security of all of the computer systems that they've got at the castle. So as you work through the activity, you're going to learn a bit about castle security, but you're also going to learn how that relates to modern cybersecurity best practice. It's not just Craig and I on the stream though either. We've also got Kirsten joining us, and Kirsten is a learning officer at Stirling Castle. Hi Kirsten.
Hi everybody. Hi guys.
Hi Kirsten, thanks for
Can I just do a quick shout out again from McLaren High School, because my son goes to that high school. He's an S3.
Excellent. Thanks very much. Well, you'll be hoping that they score well then when we play it as well. I mean,
absolutely, they better.
Here, but I can't influence our guest choice. So good luck, McLaren High School then. So Kirsten, we've got a couple of questions for you. So the first one is, I can tell from visiting castles that security was really important and it shaped their design. So why did they need to be secure? What were they protecting?
Yeah, absolutely. So castles indeed had lots of types of security, and really the main thing they're protecting are the people inside. So with Stirling, obviously it's a royal castle, so the kings and queens, and even actually all their staff as well. Everyone was important in the castle. And also they'd be protecting the possessions inside the castle. So if you think of the most important possessions of the past at that time, in medieval time, are the honours of Scotland, better known as the Scottish Crown Jewels. So that would be, in fact, they're still in Edinburgh Castle today. So things like that would be protected as well.
That's great, Kirsten. Thank you very much. And we'll be referring to you for all our historical answers today. Thanks for joining us. So Daniel, lots of people are already working their way through the activity. Hundreds of people taking part. What can you tell us? What are they up to? And what can you tell me?
Yeah, we've got loads of people joining us. And we asked you a question right at the start after you chose your avatar. We asked you if you've been to Stirling Castle before. And I think it'd be really interesting for us to take a look at the results now. We've got some live data with the answers. So this is always interesting to see. Let's have a look. So it looks like 70 of you have visited Stirling Castle, so that's the yellow segment, and just over 100 of you haven't visited Stirling Castle before, so that's the orange section.
Excellent. So a mix of people today as well. And we've also got an activity feed today where we're going to be able to keep an eye on you as you work through the activity. So who's taking part just now, Daniel?
I can see we've got Hannah from Moffat Academy, A at Press Academy, Fergus at Moffat Academy, Grant at
Edith from Birchgrove Primary, Robbie from Moffat Academy, you're working through the activity as well, and Amy from Moffat Academy, and F from Bradehurst High School, thanks for joining and taking part, and Mr. Saul from Birchgrove Primary School, he has guessed why castles have a secret entrance, a single entrance, sorry. So we'll come back to these shortly.
Yeah, I can see here that Danny at Moffat Academy has been telling us a bit about Stirling Castle's location, and as you're playing through the activity, we can actually see your answers that you type in. So I think it'd be interesting to take a look and see what some of you are saying to the question. Let's see.
Yeah, so while you load that up, Daniel, you're helping Mary Gordon here set up the computer systems, and you're following these instructions to try and work it out. And the first part is about location. So what did you ask, Daniel, and what are the answers that you're seeing?
Yeah, so we asked why Stirling Castle's location was good when it comes to defending the castle. So we'll ask Kirsten in just a second to find out her answer, but I can see here that Lauren at Moffat has said that it needs to be up high because it's such a big castle. I can see here that Catherine has said it's steep so people can't enter or exit without permission. Zach, who's at Prestwick, hard to climb.
Kyle from Bucksburn Academy said it's a good location because it's on a big hill. And Liesl from Moffat Academy said it is located on a high crag and tail, so can see from miles around. So I think we should find out how these answers are according to our expert today.
Oh wow!
So,
I'll tell you, these pupils are good. They've got all the right answers. So, starting with the crag and tail, indeed, the castle's built on a volcanic plug, known as a volcanic plug. We're talking millions of years ago, over 200 million years ago. Volcano erupts, lava comes out, hardens into a rock formation, and then you have the ice age. So the ice will have moved around that crag and then left what's known as the tail, so debris at the other side, and that's the slope that leads up to the castle. So well done to the people that got that bit about the crag and tail. But yeah, castles built on hills are far more defensive than a castle built on flat land, just for the reasons that people have said. So for one, the people inside the castle have a great view of the surrounding area for miles, so they can see any enemy coming. So that gives them time to prepare the castle, get all the defences ready, i.e. drawbridge up, portcullis, the metal gate down, etc. And also, as one other people mentioned, that to attack a castle like Stirling Castle, it's really difficult. You've only got that one way in, and that's up the slope that leads to the gatehouse, the entrance to the castle. So there'll be a lot of defences around there. So well done, pupils and people.
So, I see quite a few good answers here. Lachlan at Moffat Academy, Edith from Birchgrove Primary, and Fergus from Moffat Academy all gave really good answers about where to locate the castle. Daniel, what does, you're thinking about this from a sort of modern cybersecurity point of view. Is picking a good location important in terms of cybersecurity?
It's perhaps not quite as dramatic as building it on top of a volcanic plug, but actually the location does matter for security for data centers. If you ever see a data center, it's probably somewhere like an industrial estate or just outside of a city or a big town. It's not ever in the city center. And quite often they're in really heavily fortified buildings, so they'll have thick walls. They might not have any windows, so you can't see inside. They often have huge fences. Sometimes it's even double fences. So you'd have to climb over 2 sets of fences, bollards to stop cars getting in, and lots of security. So I suppose, yeah, there is a lot of consideration put into where these data centers are in terms of the security, because, you don't want someone to just we're obviously thinking from cybersecurity, so people don't hack in, but you don't want people who can just drive in or walk in and take the hard drive and then walk out with all that data. So yeah, I suppose it does matter, definitely.
Yeah. And nowadays we have more modern enhancements as well. So you think of things like security cameras, being able to watch people, being able to zoom in. Although, Daniel, when we were standing on those battlements, we could see for a long distance as well. It'd be difficult for someone to sneak up on us at that point. But I think the same would be true with some of these data centres as well. And sometimes, you can't miss Stirling Castle. It's massive, it's on a hill, you see it. But these other data centres, sometimes you might not even realise that building that's at the side of the motorway that, doesn't have any logos on it, is actually protecting something that's just as valuable too. So, Daniel, how are people progressing through the activity here?
Yes, so let's have a look. I can see that Connie has isolated the network. Mary has been looking at different castle defences, so is Chloe.
I can see that Mary as well from Moffat Academy, Olivia from Moffat Academy has isolated the network. We're doing really well here, progressing through this. And M from Birchgrove, I can see that you've done it. And R from St Peter the Apostle High School, you've been working through it too and just getting started on it. So don't worry if you've just joined the activity. As we work through it, we'll make sure that you keep up so that you're not left behind. Ben from St Peter the Apostle High School has just started playing as well. So Daniel, we're talking about here people, I think we maybe give it one more minute before we progress any further, but we're talking about isolating a network here. What does that mean in terms of cybersecurity?
Yeah, so when we talk about isolating the network, we mean so that data communications can't get from one bit of the network to another. So what that might be is you've got this sort of internal network inside the company or inside the organization, so you can all communicate with other people, and then another network might be the internet. And isolating the network might be disconnecting your network from the internet. So maybe, someone's trying to hack in, or there's a virus that's trying to export or send your data out onto the internet. Well, if you disconnect from the internet, well, that data can't get in or out. That hacker can't communicate anymore. You've created that gap. And sometimes it is literally a gap. We talk about air gapped, and that means like the cable's been unplugged. There's no way that could communicate. But sometimes it's just a device, sometimes it's done in software. And basically, yeah, we're just stopping communication from like somewhere that we know is safe to somewhere we know it's not safe. I guess it's a bit like a fire door, maybe. That would be another way of thinking about it. But yeah, we're separating the network out a bit.
So Daniel, I can see a lot of people have been isolating the network, so good work. You're really starting to make Stirling Castle's computer systems more secure. Daniel, are we ready to move on to the next phase in hardening our security systems?
Yeah, I think we're definitely ready to move on to the sort of second phase of our fortification. So in this phase, the questions that you're going to get asked are all about the different security features that we can use to try and keep people out of the castle or keep people out of our computer network. So follow the instructions and complete the tasks. So we're going to be asking you questions about, well, how do we keep people out and how do we sort of spot intruders who have already got in?
So someone who's definitely not an intruder and who's a special guest today, it's Kirsten. Hi Kirsten, so I've got another question for you here. So did people ever try to do things like sneak past the guards and pretend to be someone else to get into the castle? What types of ways would people try and sort of sneak their way in?
Yeah, there probably are stories of people trying to sneak their way in, and that might be through being in disguise. There are stories of people being in disguise to get through the security, but there would be a list of people to be expected to the castle. So your guards at the gatehouse would know who to expect to come in and would question them, etc. So it'd be very difficult to get in.
So would it be like a list of like who they were expecting, or people that they would know as well? So yeah,
absolutely. And what I would actually add myself, if I was at the castle, I've got donkeys, so I'd put some donkeys down at the main gate as well, because they're quite territorial and they'd be guarding the gatehouse as well.
So not guard dogs, but guard donkeys.
Donkeys rather than hounds of the castle. Yeah.
That's great. Thanks, Kirsten. So Daniel, how does this kind of relate then to stopping digital intruders? Like, what is there any similarities there?
Yeah, I guess there definitely is. So like Kirsten was saying earlier, sort of that these guards are kind of, they know who to expect. They've kind of they've got like a list or something of, okay, these people can come in or out. And I guess your computer networks and the apps and websites that you use are kind of the same. They check who you are, so they ask for you to basically identify yourself before letting you in. So that's your username and your password. And the idea is that password is something that only you know. Hopefully no one else knows your password. So by asking and going, okay, what's your email address? Okay, I can see your email address here, that matches up. Okay, your password? Oh, that matches up too, that's what we expect. You can come in, you can come into the website, you can use the app. And then if your email address isn't there or the password's wrong, it's like, okay, you're not who you say you are. You can't come in, you can't use it. So yeah, I guess we have a similar thing. But we also do other things to try and spot. Donkeys. Ooh.
Not so much.
I've never met a donkey yet, but that works in cybersecurity, but I don't know, maybe one day.
I don't know about that. So Daniel, you were going to say something else there about intruders and being able to spot people sneaking in, or the cyber security equivalent.
Yeah, so there's tools called intrusion detection system. I can see a few of you are installing one right now, and you're typing in
Harris
commands.
has just installed the intrusion detection system.
Excellent.
And Eddie from Linwood is also setting the password for the system too.
So what the intrusion detection system does is it watches all of the activity on the network. So that's things like people going to different websites, or it's people sending out data, or it's people downloading files, things like that. And it goes, okay, is that normal or is that normal? So it just watches and goes, okay, so that looks okay. So for example, maybe we always do your backups on a Wednesday morning. So it will go, okay, every Wednesday morning, it expects a big file to be transferred, and it lets that through because that's normal. But if it spots some big files being transferred, maybe on Tuesday night or something, it'll go, oh, that's not normal, that's unusual, and it will block it, and that will stop it happening. So basically it blocks strange or unusual activity, and that's something that's used on pretty much every large computer network to try and protect it, to spot the intruders and stop them being able to kind of do anything that they shouldn't.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Daniel. I just want to say a few people have sent us in their tweets. So Braidhurst High School are taking part defending Stirling Castle today. And quite a few of you are working through these activities just now. Idris, I can see that you've set the intrusion detection systems. Katie at Braidhurst, you've just set your passwords as well. While a lot of people working through it at the moment here, Daniel, this is going really well. Should we give people the chance to work through it for a few more seconds before we look up our next?
Yeah, let's give everyone another 30 seconds or another minute to kind of get this intrusion detection system set up and then set to a particular level. Excellent work. I can see that most of you have got your intrusion detection system all installed and all set up, and it asks you towards the end, one of the last things you're asked to do is to set the strictness. And the strictness of the system is basically how sensitive it is to unusual behavior, and it dictates, you know, is it just going to let it through? Is it going to maybe send an email? Is it going to flash up an alert in the Security Operations Center, or is it automatically just going to block it and not let it happen? And that's what those numbers from like 1 to 5 are. You're choosing how strict, how sensitive this system is, depending on sort of how vital the data is. Craig,
and maybe if you've had intelligence about if there's like an attack is imminent, you might be setting your strictness to a very high level because you want to be suspicious of what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. That definitely happens.
Okay, Daniel, how are we doing here? It looks like most people I can tell have set up secure passwords and they've installed the intrusion detection systems. I really think we're starting to make these Stirling Castle computer systems more secure. Are we ready to move on to the next phase in our security, Daniel?
Yep, I think we're definitely ready to move on. So in this phase, what we're going to do is we're going to learn a bit about why it's important to keep our defenses and our security up to date to keep up with the attackers. So again, what you need to do is follow the instructions and complete the tasks.
A brilliant bit of advice there, Daniel. Follow the instructions and complete the task on the screen. While you do that, Kirsten, let's bring you back in. So we're talking a bit about changes in technology as well. So tell me a bit about the changes in technology and what that would mean for the people who are defending Stirling Castle.
Sure. Well, one major change in technology was to do with weapons and the introduction of gunpowder to Britain. So gunpowder was actually invented in China in the 9th century, and then it came to Britain in the 14th century, 13th century. So what you're talking about there is weapons advancing. So started to use cannons and guns known as muskets to attack and to defend castles. So with that in mind, they had to build stronger castles. So, you know, you go further back in time, castles were mainly made of wood. So that's not going to withstand against cannon warfare. So start using stone, which is a much stronger building material. And now Stirling Castle has a feature which a lot of other castles have as well, known as an earth wall. So what an earth wall is, it's a defence wall at the outside of the castle. So basically, it's instead of two stone walls. Between the two stone walls is earth, compacted earth. If you think of a sandwich, the two walls are like the bread, and then the earth is like the spelling of the sandwich. So basically, an earth wall, the way it works is a cannon is fired, or cannonball is fired at the outer wall. It may go through that first wall, but the earth is there to absorb the impact of the cannonball and not allow it to go through the second wall. So that was one major thing, is gunpowder.
Brilliant. So the people that made these defences, or would have to like make improvements or repair things, what was their job? What were their roles?
Sure, yeah, we'd have a lot of craftsmen in the past. So, that would include carpenters to do woodwork, and the blacksmiths doing wrought iron work. But you also had stonemasons. So a stonemason was a person that basically made the stone walls of the castle, made anything in stone, and the carvings, details and things. So they would be the ones to repair castles. And you would have an architect, someone that would actually design the buildings in the first place. But stonemasons were the key craftspeople to actually repair and build.
That's great. That's really interesting. Daniel, how does this sort of then relate to modern cybersecurity? So, like, what could cybersecurity architects do to protect computer systems as technology changes too?
Yeah, well, we do some of the same things. So, like Kirsten, you were just saying there that these masons would basically like patch up the castle after there was any damage. They would look for sort of holes, or they would look for issues, and then they would fix it. And do you know what? Anyone who makes computer software does exactly the same thing. What they do is, whenever they spot a vulnerability, which is basically sort of a flaw in the software that could allow an attacker or a criminal to break in, or perhaps there's a bug or an issue or just some other sort of thing that needs fixed, they issue out what's called a software patch or a software update. And that fixes the problem. So as viruses change and mutate, and as the sort of cybercriminals change their sort of methods and the tools that they use, as they develop over time, just like when we moved from sort of like, brought in guns and cannons and so on, well, the sort of tools that cybercriminals use change as well. So you need to kind of change your defenses and adapt them to try and stay ahead. So yeah, I suppose, yeah, there's a lot of definite similarities there, Craig.
One of the most basic things that you can do that improves your cybersecurity is installing updates and making sure that your computer's up to date. And we asked you as well, we said, okay, how often do you install software updates onto your computer?
Yeah, we did. Let's take a look at these results here. So I can see here that the biggest section is the green one, and the green one, Craig, is that the apps update automatically. So almost 100 of you have your apps set to automatically update, which for me, working in cybersecurity, that's the best thing to do, because then it means you don't forget. It means they're always up to date. They're always as secure as they can be.
Most people seem to be having some sort of process where they do it, okay, when I remember, maybe not so much, or every week. There are still a few people who say, Daniel, there, that they never do their software updates. And when it comes to personal cybersecurity, one of the ways that you can make sure that all the information that's installed on your computers and your devices is safe is by making sure you always have those most up-to-date bits of software done. So yeah, think back to those castle architects and stonemasons and people who are repairing things. Make sure that your defences are fortified as well. How are we doing, Daniel, on the old activity?
Yeah, let's take a look. So I can see that F and Z, who are both at Prestwick, you've been looking at trip steps and traps. I can see that.
Archie, Moffat Academy, told us the name of what you call a cyber trap. Let's come back to that in a second. And Hannah, as well, from Moffat Academy, has been looking up the castle's computer systems.
I can see that Archie at Dice has been looking at the sort of way that masons would mark their work and sign them.
Interesting. And who else have we got here? I can see Aaron from Braidhurst High School set the trap, enabled the trap on our security systems. So let's give people maybe another minute or so, Daniel, to continue securing these systems right now. But I want to ask Kirsten about those traps, because what can we think of castles as having like traps or things that they could trick intruders. Does Stirling Castle have anything like that?
Yeah, well, there's a few things. One is actually at the gatehouse. So, like a lot of castles, Stirling has would have had a double portcullis. So that's the metal gates that go up and down. So basically, if you manage to get through the first portcullis, there was a second one which would sort of trap you in that area. And above you is, of course, the building and the wall, an arched wall, and then up there could be murder holes. So murder holes for we'll talk about where they live later on, but yeah, so murder holes that they could chuck things down on top of the attackers' heads. Further into the castle, you could find things like trip steps. So we've actually got one that I know of at Stirling Castle, and usually you find them in the on spiral staircases, so the staircases that are in towers, and our one does work. I'm forever tripping on it when I go up that tower.
So is it just at like a different height, or is
yeah. Basically, it's usually a deeper step. So we've actually, for health and safety, it's been painted white to remind us, but I'm always forgetting. But yeah, it's usually a different height to the other steps. So if anyone manages to get that far into the castle, either running up the steps, they're going to trip on that, and obviously the defenders got the advantage over them. Another thing you see in castles are doorways that are kind of smaller, so lower in height, and a lot of people think that's because of people being shorter in height, so they didn't need such big doors, but that's not really the case. It's to keep the draft out, but also it's a defence in itself. So if again someone was running through to attack you, you've got the upper hand because they're having to bend down to come through that door when they enter that part of the castle.
They run into it.
Yeah, they run into it, hit their head off it.
Daniel, the cybersecurity, people, would they lay traps? Is that the type of thing that you could do if you were protecting a computer system?
Yeah, so again, lots of big networks have traps on them. I'm not quite sure that the traps will last for hundreds of years and still be effective, like that trip step that you were talking about, Kirsten. But yeah, there's definitely traps on lots of computer networks. And the reason that they put these traps in, they're called honeypots. They're because they're sweet and we want the attackers to go and attack them first. So basically what a honeypot is it's another computer on the network, but it tries to look like the crown jewels. It tries to look like the most valuable thing. So maybe we call something like confidential or customer records or something. And it's full of sort of alarms and other things like that, and it's monitored really closely. And the idea is whenever someone's trying to hack in or whatnot, they'll see that and they'll be like, oh, that's the target, that's what I want to get, that's the place that needs hacked. But the security team's actually keeping a close eye on it. They're watching what the attacker does, and that gives them a bit of time to go and isolate the network or reset some passwords or do whatever else it is that they need to do to respond to try. And so it buys them a bit of time, and it lets them kind of learn a bit about the people that are attacking them, like where are they going for, how do they work, what tools are they using, just to make them a bit more prepared.
Just before we move on, Daniel, I can see people are updating their security systems. Would you like to hear what some people have told me that they would drop down the murder holes that you mentioned earlier? Poppy from Birchgrove Primary School said hot oil would be something that you could drop down a murder hole. Thank you, Poppy. Abby from Prestwick Academy said burning sand would be something that you could drop down a murder hole. And Sky from Woff Academy said boiling hot water would be something. Mm-hmm. Well, Sky, Abby, Poppy, these are brilliant answers. Thank you very much for sending these in to us.
I'd say when you're under attack, anything goes. They'll just chuck anything on top of the attacker's head, yeah. Rocks, whatever.
Just enjoying some of the answers that are coming in. Someone from Loch Ellie said perhaps a person you could drop.
Yeah, drop absolutely.
Oh, guards, they said maybe guards, stones, bricks. These are all great answers. Daniel, how are we doing in terms of securing our defences?
Yeah, let's take a look at our activity feed and see. So see if you can spot yourself appearing when you're answering these questions. I can see here that Danny at Moffat has been telling us about the cyber traps, these honeypots. Olivia's managed to identify where the honeypot is on that network, what it's called.
I can also see that Caitlin, you've been able to know the secret behind some of the trip steps. everyone's making brilliant progress at the moment, Daniel. I think we're ready to give people let's sort of test everyone and see how good you are at terms of security. So for our next part, you're going to need your concentration. You're going to need to be focused on what you're doing because, Daniel, you've got a challenge that you're going to set everyone.
Yeah, so we can see that you've updated, you've patched your software, the honeypots are now activated, and that's great work. You're starting to make the computer systems at Stirling Castle more secure. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a bit of a stress test. We're going to simulate a cyber attack. So do you think that these tools that you're putting in are secure enough? Do you think you're going to be able to respond to it? Well, let's find out. We're going to run a stress test sequence. We're going to launch a simulated cyber attack on your systems, and it's your job to respond quickly and defend against them.
So in a moment, you will see a security operations center control screen, and it's got 4 panels on it. Now the system will automatically detect any incoming cyber attacks that Daniel's going to send in and tell you what to do. And you have to follow those instructions as quickly as you can, but don't make a mistake. It's important to be accurate. So Daniel, you're about to start the attack, but let's get everyone ready, because every time you successfully defend an attack, you're going to get a point. And we want to see which school, which player is going to get the highest points.
Well, the attack has already started because you never know when the attackers are going to turn up. So I hope you're ready. I can see that quite a few of you are responding really quickly already. So just follow the sort of commands and do whatever it is that it tells you to do. And Craig and I, we can see how you're getting on. We can see your scores. So try and keep going as long as you can. Craig. Back. Oh, we're approaching 60.
That's great. Your cyber attacks are clearly working, Daniel. They are causing a bit of disruption.
It seems so.
You tell me the top performance schools, Daniel. I can see the scores 67, 65 and 60. Or we're at 69 now, nice, and 67 as well, 60, 58. Who are these schools that are doing well?
Yeah, so the schools that are doing really well are Braidhurst, Prestwick and McLaren High School. But the people are swapping around all the time. Oh, Hayden at Lochgelly's just entered the table. I think I'm going to hide the table.
How long's left?
And we're going to go for another 30 seconds and then we'll take a look and see.
Brilliant. So keep following those instructions, keep blocking those cyber attacks.
Okay, I think the cyber attack's going to end in about 10 seconds.
Okay, let me know when it stopped, Daniel, and then we'll have a breather before we reveal the results.
I think the cyber attack has now ended. You can sit back, remove your hands from the mouse, and take a second.
Luckily, that was just a drill. You know, and simulated these cyber attacks are really, you know, it's important that companies exercise the responses to these cyber attacks. People do this in real life. They run the tests all the time. And they would measure themselves to see how well their systems perform so that they know how they can improve it in the future. Daniel, I know that you're just bringing all the numbers together there. Do we have our final result?
We do. Let's take a look at our leaderboard.
Who has created the most secure systems?
So, Aidan from Lochgelly High School, 92. That's a really impressive score. Hayden at Lochgelly, 99. But R, who's at Braidhurst High School, managed to get all the way up to 100 points. So that's a super score.
Wow. Brilliant. Well done, everyone. So we know Braidhurst High School is the place to go to if we want to recruit the next generation of cybersecurity experts. Thank you very much for taking part in that. Oh, that was brilliant. So, well done. I think it's fair to say, Daniel, everyone passed. Everyone got through it. We managed to defend our systems. Can you remind us what did we actually do today? What have been the steps that we've followed?
Yeah, so today you've done lots of stuff. Today you learned a bit about how master masons and architects designed castles with security in mind, all the way from even where they chose to put the castle. And then you found similarities between the security in the Middle and then the modern ages. And then you worked as a security architect to implement lots of different cybersecurity features, things like honeypots, intrusion detection systems, strong passwords, things like that. And then you stress tested it. You did an exercise to test these security systems against a simulated cyber attack. Well
Excellent.
done.
Well done.
We do have one.
We have one more task.
And that one task,
One more task for you to do.
And that
Go for
task
it, Daniel.
is for you to share your feedback with us about what it was that you did today. So on your report, there'll be a continue button at the bottom. Click that. We've got a few feedback questions, and then you can be taken back to the report card. If you want to play the game again, you can play the game again afterwards. Will you fill out the feedback? Kirsten, would you be able to tell us a wee bit about other careers in the heritage sector?
Sure, yeah. So I work for Historic Environment Scotland, and there's many different career paths within the agency. So I'm a learning officer, so I work with the learning and engagement team. So a bit like a classroom teacher, but obviously the setting's much more different. I've got classrooms in a castle instead. Other areas you can work in, conservation, our sites have to be maintained and looked after and protected. So I mentioned already earlier about stonemason, joinery, carpenter, joinery, gardening, electrician. So all these kind of trades, you can actually do them in the heritage environment, not just the private sector or have your own company. Tourism is another one, tourism and hospitality. So some of our sites have catering, so cafes, so there'll be catering on site for daytime and in the evening when we have events that are run, private events. Stewards that take people around the castles, retail staff, because a lot of sites have shops on site. Then you've got kind of more behind the scenes, you've got all our media teams, so comms and communications, comms, media, so that's colleagues that would look after our website, our Facebook, our Twitter, etc. What other ones? You've also got...
So we're using our digital skills today?
Absolutely, yeah. So IT is another one. We have a whole department in IT, so that we've got specialists that look after. Learning about today our computer systems and databases, etc., and information. So many career paths, and all the subjects you can do at school really will feed into career paths within the agency. So it's not just history, many other ways and areas to go into.
That's great. Thank you for your time today, Kirsten. It's been great having you here, being able to answer some of the questions and telling us about the history of the castle and how it was secured.
Can I just add, those that haven't been to the castle, you better get to the castle when you can.
Excellent. Daniel,
bye, everyone.
What's happening? You can say
I was saying.
Daniel, what are we up to next month?
Yeah, so next month we've got another live lesson. In fact, it's in just over 2 weeks' time. And in this one, we're going to be using open source intelligence. So we're going to be investigating a shipping company, and the shipping company is Broughty Ferries, because we've had a tip off that Broughty Ferries is involved in smuggling of some footwear, and we need to get to the bottom of it. We need to find, is the tip off reliable? Is Broughty Ferries up to something? Oh, we need to find out the answers.
I'm looking forward to that workshop. And of course, thanks for joining us on YouTube. And it wouldn't be YouTube if we didn't tell you that you should like this video. You should subscribe to us so you can stay up to date with all our other activities that we're doing today. So yeah, smash that like button and hit subscribe for future updates. And you can play all of our activities on our website anytime on cyberskillslesson.com. We've got more security lessons, but if you're also interested in things like data science, computer science, then defending rhinos, you can do it all on that website. So I think that's us, Daniel.
Yep, I think 10-2, it's time to wrap up. So I think it's bye from Kirsten.
But I'll say bye now then. Bye. Thanks for having me.
Bye from Craig.
Bye-bye.
And it's bye from me as well. See you next time.
you.